he tweeted this: Trump's bombing of the Ayatollah's nuclear facilities made the little Nazi mad. Good. So now you're turning around and you're calling somebody that you don't like a Nazi.
And up next, guys, we've got to talk about a controversial take and perspective from the YouTuber who is on the right side politically, Brett Cooper. And full disclosure, I like Brett. I know her a little bit, even from before she was big actually on YouTube and the Daily Wire. And this is not a personal shot against her or anything. I just do slightly disagree with her perspective. Well, she sparked quite the firestorm online with some of her commentary about Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, who we've covered on the channel. Tucker's under fire for doing an incredibly softball interview with Nick Fuentes, who is, you know, a virulent anti-Semite, homophobe, racist, like actually those things, not like the woke, oh, they made a joke, he's an evil bigot, but like actually all those horrible things and one of the most toxic people in modern politics. Well, Brett put out a video titled Tucker x Nick Fuentes, the interview that broke the GOP. And in it, she defended Tucker from a lot of the criticism, and she talked about a couple crazy moments from a meeting of the Republican Jewish caucus. And I actually agree with some of the criticism she levied in that video of people like the Republican Congressman Randy Fine, who I consider to be a hateful extremist in the other direction. So he, I think, is insanely hateful and racist towards Muslims and Palestinians and Arab people. And I certainly don't agree with a lot of the things he says. And I agree with some of Brett's criticisms. But it was notable to me that in this video, she didn't really criticize Nick Fuentes almost at all or distance herself from his views very much. So even though he said so many hateful things that I don't think Brett believes, she seemed to just defend on principle the idea that Tucker can talk to whoever he wants, and some people want him canceled, and that's wrong. And I agree. Like Randy Fine literally said, deplatform Tucker, or somebody else said that maybe. But one of the people, there have been some calls for that, and I don't support that. I don't think people should be censored or deplatformed, but I also don't think any of them are beyond criticism, or that we should act like these are just normal people engaging in the rigorous debate of ideas when they're actually like softball platforming some of the most hateful people imaginable. Anyway, here is the clip that has Brett coming in for some criticism online. Let's listen to this.
You are so blinded by your ridiculous, insane hatred of Tucker Carlson that you cannot see how irresponsible and hypocritical you are being. I mean, these tweets from Ted Cruz, I'm going to read you next, are a great example of this. So just a month ago, he tweeted this. He said, "They don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you. Political violence is a left-wing phenomenon. Enough is enough. We need to shut it down."
Just to pause here. So what she's saying is she's highlighting a post from Ted Cruz where he said it's not okay to call Republicans Nazis because when they do that, they're giving tacit permission for somebody to commit violent acts against them. And she's going to suggest that it is therefore hypocritical for Ted Cruz to go on and call Nick Fuentes a Nazi. Now, what I would say is I actually just think this original Ted Cruz post is not correct. I think calling someone a Nazi, it has clearly been done way too much, and it is disgusting and horrible to throw that accusation around lightly or to smear people as Nazis who are not. But simply calling someone a Nazi is not the same as saying kill that person, the same way that when Republicans call Democrats communists or traitors or scum, that is also not a literal call for them to be killed. And I think conflating those two things is dangerous and conflates charged free speech with illegal and unacceptable threats in a way that I don't support. But Brett seems to say that she agrees with his original post, but now doesn't like that he is calling Nick Fuentes a Nazi. So listen to the rest of the clip.
Down. And then in response to Fuentes and Tucker this week, he tweeted this: "Trump's bombing of the Ayatollah's nuclear facilities made the little Nazi mad. Good." So now you're turning around and you're calling somebody that you don't like a Nazi. You're doing this out of blind rage because you're so angry that the conservative base's attitudes are rapidly changing, that Nick Fuentes is getting national attention, and so you have turned around and in response, you are compromising your own values in anger, which is such a dangerous precedent to set. And unfortunately for you guys, yes, the attitudes are changing. So again, it makes sense why this group is incredibly frantic.
So I don't quite agree with this because I have the opposite take. I think it's fine to call Nick Fuentes a Nazi because he is a Nazi. And that's not the same thing as calling for him to be killed. I think Brett has highlighted a part a real hypocrisy or inconsistency among Ted Cruz, but I think he was wrong the first time, not the second time. Whereas she thinks he was wrong the second time, but evidently not the first time. At least that's what I'm picking up here. And I do disagree with her suggestion that people are upset with Nick Fuentes and people are calling him a Nazi just because the GOP base is moving away from Israel. Even if that latter part is true, I don't know. Nick Fuentes is a different category of hateful and extreme. And yes, openly anti-Semitic. And he is a Nazi. And it's okay to call somebody who's actually a Nazi. I don't know how else. I mean, just in May of 2025, he just tweeted Team Hitler. Like, there are many, many clips of this guy saying he loves Hitler, saying hateful and insane and unhinged things about Jews, not even to mention black people, women, gay people, and all that, but just sticking on the subject. This guy says he loves Hitler. Hitler was right. Hitler is very cool. And I don't think that we shouldn't be able to call somebody who's actually a neo-Nazi just because other people overuse that accusation. Like, the boy who cried wolf is a very real phenomenon, but sometimes there's actually a wolf. And I don't think we should view language or accusations that are actually true as off limits just because other people might interpret them as a call to violence, even though they're not, or because other people have thrown those accusations around spuriously in the past. Now, unfortunately, Nick Fuentes loved what Brett Cooper had to say, somewhat in his defense, and went on a little rant about it, despite having very harshly criticized her in the past. Listen to Nick celebrating this massive win for the Groypers.
Brett Cooper, let's go. Honorary Groyper. Brett Cooper, raise your right hand real quick. That was awesome. That was unexpected. Who was expecting that? I take back everything I said about her. I made fun of her wedding. I don't like her wedding. I'm going to be honest. And we want to know why her wedding was like, she wore cowboy boots. She did that whole like rustic cowboy aesthetic for her wedding. Odious. That's a stylistic disagreement. You know what?
I'm sorry. I just have to pause, and on an unrelated note, he's just the most obviously gay person I've ever seen. Like, the clearest repressed bottom of all time. I just have some stylistic critiques of her wedding and the aesthetic she went for. Alex, I'll take things straight dudes regularly observe and notice for 1,000. Yeah, okay. Continue, sir.
Whatever. Agree to disagree. She did a wedding where the groom wore a cowboy hat and she wore cowboy boots, and it was in like a little chapel out in the woods, and it's like, brother, we can't. So tacky. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I take it back. I take it all back. I was wrong. She's based. She's running. So I thought that was great. Brett Cooper. Brett Cooper Groyper from the top rope.
So I don't think that Brett is a bad person or has these hateful views that Nick has, but I hope that she understands after some of the pushback why people call Nick a Nazi, because he basically is, and why people call him anti-Semitic, because he actually is. And I can understand the frustration that she may be feeling as somebody who maybe has critiques or concerns about Israel, and then people dogpile and they throw around anti-Semitism accusations lightly. I do think there's plenty of legitimate criticisms to be made of the state of Israel and the things they've done. But I do believe that the sentiment among the Republican base has shifted on this issue. All of that is fine, and you can defend someone's free speech without making excuses for a hateful and evil figure like Nick Fuentes, or pretending that it's a smear or something to call him a Nazi when he literally is. And then also, once he takes this step and says, Brett Cooper, welcome to the Groypers, I would hope, at least I know if he ever said something like that about me because I criticized someone or did something he liked, I would be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I am not on the team with those people who think women shouldn't vote, who hate black people, who hate gay people, who hate Jewish people. I am not a Groyper, and I condemn them. I would hope that she would do that in response to this. I mean, maybe she doesn't want to give him attention or airtime or what have you, but yeah, I think things can be shifting and moving in the direction, and you can want to criticize some of the crazy people on the opposite extreme, the Randy Fines of the world, but that doesn't actually mean you have to defend or embrace or downplay the raw evil of Nick Fuentes in any way. And while I disagree with Ted Cruz, I also disagree with Brett on this. So I wanted to make my perspective clear and weigh in on that clip that is going very viral and getting all sorts of attention on X. But again, no hate to Brett. I just have a different perspective on this stuff. You guys let me know who you agree with. Do make sure that you subscribe, like, yada, yada, yada. And that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad versus Everyone podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you rate and review on whatever podcast platform you tune in on, and we will talk again real soon.